people. Que pasa, suck, say what they do. Welcome to Crime Time News, where the difference is in the meds. Call it news with a buzz. Now, ever since that scandal known as SSL, we see that everybody has been coming out and everybody has been doing some sorts of form of damage control. However, they are also failing in their damage control. I am speaking about the heads of SSL, the Croskery, the Harding, Jean Ann Panton. I am speaking about your Prime Minister, your Minister of Finance. But everybody have been saying, how we never hear from the head of the prosecution, the DPP specifically, Paula Llewellyn. Well, Paula Llewellyn made some sorts of subliminal address the situation, kind of, at a forum that was held for the Financial Investigative Division maybe about a day or so ago. And she is asking us to be patient. Be patient, because when it comes to high-profile cases, financial crime, it takes a whole lot more time, a whole lot more investigation has to go through. So therefore, this is not CSI, this is not law and order. This is Jamaica. I will address this. Take a listen, take a look to what Paula Llewellyn and other persons working at the DPP's office had to say, and then I'll give my piece.
It's so easy for people to say, why don't we have more prosecutions of corruption matters? Why don't we have more prosecutions of politicians or anybody else, people within the financial industry? But I say again, this is not CSI or law and order. Very often, you are investigating or you are prosecuting, and one of your witnesses or two of your witnesses were willfully blind. They knew what was happening in terms of the fraud. But whether because of, I call it, professional incest, or because they lacked the cojones, or because they were, or a third party connected to them was getting something out of it, in the middle of the trial, where you have 7, 8 accused, 7 lawyers, and it's very tension-filled, the case. And you have the investigator saying, oh, due to an oversight, we didn't give you this video that we have of the raid or the search that we made of the main accused man's premises where you collected so much documentary material.
You might be seeing certain things surfacing on social media or elsewhere, you might hear certain things, but there are certain law in relation to admissibility of the confession. So, do you want us to take the chance now? Just rely on the confession, and then when it goes to court, because of certain issues, for instance, it wasn't voluntarily given or they weren't cautioned, for instance, then that caution statement is not admitted, and then we have nothing else. It takes longer. There's a lot of evidence that we need to obtain to actually bring forth a successful case. There's a lot of tracing. So you have to go through phone records, bank records, speak to witnesses. Because the thing is, you don't want to rush the investigation. And then the problem is now, when we go to trial, we can't mount a successful prosecution.
Now, people, you hear what your DPP had to say. She wants more patience upon top of patience. As Jamaicans, that is the only thing that we can do, because we are pretty much reliant on the DPP's office to get some sorts of justice. However, we have pretty much lost faith, because it seems as if they cannot capitalize, they cannot seal the deal, they cannot close any sorts of high-profile case. So therefore, we have reasons to be concerned. She said that this is not CSI and law and order, or law and order. and people, we would have to agree. Don't know if she was trying to be sarcastic or she was being realistic. But at least with CSI and law and order, the people get some sorts of justice. When it comes to Jamaica and these high-profile cases, more than likely we're going to be dissatisfied one more again. She said that it is a problem, it is challenging to prosecute financial crimes because sometimes the witnesses in the case, they are compromised. They don't have the BALLS, the intestinal fortitude. Sometimes they themselves are beneficiary or participants, and even worse. Some of the investigators, lead investigators that are investigating the main culprit or main suspect in the case, them drop the ball, some sorts of investigative misconduct. So therefore that person walks because of some sorts of technicality or some sorts of slip up by the persons that we hire or expect that they should at least do a responsible job. People, there's a reason for all of this. It is called political psychs. Now, like your DPP said, this is not CSI and this is not law and order. However, if you as a body that is responsible for the prosecution of criminals in Jamaica, you have to make sure that you have laws, rules and regulation into place for persons that seems as if they want to throw off the case, want to compromise the case. It is called perversion of justice. It is called perjury. So therefore, whenever you start locking up some of these persons, then other persons behind them might consider or reconsider whenever they go into courts and testify or lie. However, if there's no sorts of repercussion, people are going to do stuff when them know say all that they are going to get is a slap on the wrist. Now the next thing, as it pertains to investigators, like I said before, it is called political psychs. These persons conveniently remember what they need to remember and conveniently forget what they need to forget when it comes to person with money, clout and power, especially if that person has any sorts of political link, political affiliation, or somebody in politics is involved directly or indirectly. Now, there was a next lady from the DPP's office that also spoke, and she said that it is not as easy as it seems. It's not easy like 1, 2, 3. Because sometimes you get a confession, but that confession is not a caution statement. So therefore, if they did not get a caution statement from the suspect, there might be some sorts of difficulty when they go to court. That person can walk on some sorts of technicality. People, the DPP, Paula Llewellyn, or this other lady, they were not speaking directly about SSL. They were speaking in general. However, you and I know that it is all a bunch of political or lawyer mumbo jumbo. They must say something, but them not say something. So therefore, they might try to confuse it as if we are not already confused. Now let's talk about the case as it pertains to SSL. This lady, Jean Ann Panton, she confessed to at least 39 victims, 39 clients in which she swindled in excess of millions of US, billions of Jamaican. She then double talk and said she also swindled Usain Bolt in excess of $7 million through some sorts of company in which she and other persons formed in some sorts of island. Limited liability company. Well, Jen, I think, don't quote me on the name. So people, let me ask this lady a question. Wouldn't that be some sort of caution statements? Don't know the technical term, what qualifies or what don't qualify as a caution statement. The facts of the case is that Usain Bolt, through his management team and lawyer, launched a complaint when they realized that the statement that they got was polar opposite to the actual portfolio statement that was at SSL. $12.7 million, the email statement from Jean Ann Panton versus 12,000 plus, the actual portfolio statement, monies left in his fund. There was also a next lady, big client also. She said that she lost X amount of US dollars. She launched a complaint. So therefore, there are two victims. Why is it that Miss Jean Ann Panton, the Cross Kerrys, the Harding, are not locked up, charged for something? I am not saying that this is all they will be charged of, because the case is ongoing. Investigation is still pending. Me just say, charge them for something, and then you supersede it at the end of your investigation. That way, at least you can reassure yourself that these persons are off the street. They are not corrupting the course of justice, perverting the course of justice. Them not corrupt the case. They are not destroying evidence. And people, you and I know that that is exactly what they are doing as we speak, as I speak. Based on their resume, it is their MO, it is their genotype, it is in their chromosome to lie. It is in their chromosome to deny. So therefore, if you get recent evidence that SSL tried to wind up the company, mean dissolve the company, through some sorts of trustee, paperwork, documentation from the company's Office of Jamaica based on what your finance minister had to say, why would you think otherwise? People, it seems as if we're dealing with a set of educated fools that missed out on the most important part of their course. It is called common sense. It is called rational thinking. But people, like me say, the reason for all of this is that the DPP's office, most of these investigative branches, they are not independent. So therefore, they have persons pulling their string, meaning people with political power. I call them and I say, listen, put a pause on this, leave that person for right now. Whenever it looks bad, and it does, then we'll do something. However, people, like me say, based on all that we are seeing, all the scam, all the sham, all the psychs being perpetuated by all involved, something looks fishy when we see all of these alphabet organizations, the SSL, the DPP, the FID, the FSC. They are pulling all sorts of wool over our eyes. They are using all sorts of psychs. They are using all sorts of sham. Something is looking very, very fishy without a shadow of a doubt. And people, it is reasons for concern. It is signs that we are seeing that don't expect too much from these people, because they are all one piece in a pod, or a set of peas in a pod. They are fully corrupt, point blank and period. Now the next thing that is popping in the news, it is called Dance with the Devil and you get SCREWED. You get what the duck gets. I am speaking about a man, his name is Yuan Darling. He was one of the top rising architects in Jamaica. Very prominent person with the building of all of these first world properties, real estate developments. He was taken out about 48 hours ago, hitman style. Persons are saying that, what was the cause? What was the motive? Was it some sorts of real estate property deal that went woefully wrong? Was he taken out because he was getting growing recognition by other persons in the industry, and his competitors did not like it. People, remember, if you listen to me or you're a follower of this channel, you remember I told you that the FBI, they know that most of these financial companies that are financing these developments, they are laundering money for the cartel. Remember I told you that a lot of these building establishments, townhouses, apartment complexes that you see, they are financed by drugs dealer going through these investment companies. They are buying prime property. If you drive through Kingston, all of the uptown area, wherever there is any sorts of property, you would see that buildings are going up at an alarming rate. Very, very expensive, outpricing the average middle class or upper middle class. So you have to ask the question, who are the persons that are buying these property? Because people, they don't last on the market. Now, when you use common sense and you psychoanalyze the market in Jamaica, usually after some sorts of pandemic is usually a recession. However, what we see is that as soon as one building finish, one project finish, a next one starts. The real estate market is booming in Jamaica more than any other place on planet Earth. And when you take into consideration that 75% of Jamaicans are poor, most of the persons that are middle class or upper middle class cannot afford these property. However, somebody is buying these expensive buildings, commercial and residential property. Then when we also figure that, hold on, all of these cartels, all of these smugglers are vying for the same property. There's a law of demand and supply. Too much developers, too much smugglers in the real estate business vying for the same sorts of property. So therefore, you are going to have all sorts of cutthroats. You are going to have all sorts of people that are willing to take each other out because it is all about money, money, money. It is called crab in a barrel. Real estate, developers style, mixed with smugglers, cartel, people. That is exactly what is going on. So therefore, if and when somebody is promised something, as in the motive why this man might have lost his life, if there was some sort of deal that went wrong, he promised to sell somebody something, and because of the high demand, him kinda stepped back and was selling somebody else for more money. People are gonna get into them feeling. But people, like they said in the newspaper, he might have lost his life. The motive is bad mind in the real estate development, architecture, business. However, the street is saying it was some sort of bad deal that went wrong because of some sort of person that is in some sort of illicit business that he was supposed to sell some sort of property. However, people, like them say, whatever the street say is not always 100% proof. However, something might be in a something. Let me know what you think in the comment section. Thanks once again for checking out my video. I understand that this might be your grandma's favorite YouTube channel. However, this is not your average run-of-the-mill mama and papa channel. This is news with a buzz. If you appreciate videos like this, please show your appreciation by liking, commenting and sharing to my channel. That is how YouTube promotes videos like these to like-minded, sensible persons like yourself. Bless up.